Hi, how's it going? This is Kevin from MarineMax Danvers. I'm here with Zach today, one of our technicians here. We're going to show you how to do your annual repaint of your ablative bottom paint, anti-fouling paint on your boat. Right here we have a 15 Montauk. This is a service that we recommend doing once annually. Bottom paint is used to deter sea growth from growing onto the hull of your boat, but it's an ablative paint, which means it sheds off as it goes. So every year you want to reapply and add more paint on to make sure that the protection stands through. Otherwise, growth can permeate into your fiberglass and it can damage your hull. So first step, which we already have done, is taping off the water line. We analyze them every year and make sure that if the water line is accurate, we can repaint exactly where it is. If we need to raise it, we can adjust every year. The next step afterwards, that Zach's doing right now, is if there's any growth on the underneath, you want to make sure that gets scraped off first. So he's making sure that all the growth is removed. When the boat first comes out of the water, if you give it a pressure wash first, which we do with every storage boat that comes here, then it allows it to be a much simpler process come springtime, but if not, you can still scrape it. After he's done scraping, he's going to go through and he's going to sand it. It gives the paint a rough texture to bind to for the new layer that's being applied. Following that, we're going to have to move the blocks and stands that it's on to make sure that we get every single spot of the hull. Otherwise, it's an area that growth will and find a way to get to. At the end of it, once we let it dry, the boat goes back on the trailer and you're good for another season. So just real quick, just showing you all of this that's on the ground here, and even some that's still up in here, is the growth that will occur every year. And that's with the black ablative paint on it. So without the paint, all that growth just multiplies and it will stick right to your hull. So this is a necessary thing if you're keeping your boat in the salt water year round. So after we're done with the scraping process, we swap over to our DA. We have it hooked to a vacuum sander just to make sure that any of the particles that we sand away get vacuumed off the boat and can be collected and disposed of properly. So Zach's going to start with that. We usually use an 80 grit sandpaper. It's just enough to kind of rough it up, but not take away from any of the existing protective paint. So Zach's going to go ahead and do some of that. So the last step after you have the boat scraped and sanded is you want to apply the new layer of paint. Now Zach's wearing his PPE because the paint does have some fumes. So you want to make sure that you're doing this in a vented area or with the proper protection. After a certain amount of time, after so many applications, maybe 8 to 10 years or so of repainting, kind of depends on the area of growth. Eventually the bottom paint will tend to build up and you want to do a full soda blast down and repaint from there. But as an annual upkeep, just this process of scrape, sanding, and repainting will protect your hull for majority of years.